Let's be honest for a moment. You've probably been told all your life that kindness is a virtue. That if you're honest, respectful, and generous, the universe will repay you. That somehow, by just being a good person, things will fall into place. But tell me, has it? How many times have you done the right thing and still felt ignored, or worse, used? How many moments did you stay quiet to keep the peace, only to realize no one noticed or appreciated it? Here's the truth we don't like to say out loud. Kindness alone won't save you. It won't earn you respect. And it won't guarantee success. We live in a world that doesn't reward virtue. It rewards those who understand how the world works. People who see clearly that behind the curtain of smiles and social rules, there's a game being played, a game of power, image, and positioning. And here's the part that stings. While you were busy being kind, someone else was busy being strategic. While you believed that doing good was enough, someone else was quietly learning how to protect their value, how to use perception, silence, and timing to their advantage. This doesn't mean kindness is useless. Not at all. It means kindness without awareness is a liability. It's like bringing flowers to a battlefield. You see, the world is full of people who wear masks, predators disguised as friends, opportunists wrapped in politeness. And if you don't recognize that, you'll keep giving your light to those who never intended to reflect it. So this isn't about becoming cold. It's about waking up. It's about pairing your decency with discernment, your honesty with intelligence, your goodness with grit. Ask yourself, are you being good? Or are you being predictable? Are you living by truth? Or hiding from the reality of how things work? Because the hard truth is, the world doesn't bend to good intentions. It bends to those who move with purpose. And if you don't learn how to play the game, you'll always be played by it. Let that sink in. Let's face a difficult truth. People aren't always kind. Not deep down. When pushed, even the nicest person can act selfishly. In desperate times, even a loyal friend may turn their back. That's not cynicism, it's reality. Human nature has a dark corner, and if you ignore that, you risk walking into every trap with your eyes wide open. Think about it. How many times have you acted from a good heart, only to be met with silence, disrespect, or even betrayal? Now, don't get me wrong. Being good is a strength, but only if it's protected. Because virtue without strategy is like a candle in the wind, easy to admire, even easier to blow out. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. In The Prince, he didn't say to abandon morality. He said to pair it with cunning, to understand that kindness without wisdom is just an invitation to be devoured. You might be a kind person, honest, fair, generous, but here's the real question. Do you know how to protect that goodness? Because if you walk through the world thinking everyone shares your intentions, you'll keep getting blindsided. There are people who see compassion as a weakness, who test boundaries just to see how far they can go. And when you don't push back, when you don't know how to guard your light, they'll take everything you offer and leave you in the dark. This is why being just good isn't enough. You need to be good and discerning, kind and calculated. You need to know when to give and when to hold the line. Because the world doesn't reward people who mean well, it rewards people who know how to move well. And that's the essence of power, not domination, awareness. So ask yourself, are you guarding your values or leaving them unprotected in a world full of thieves? Because your heart is precious, but even diamonds need a safe. Here's something most people never admit. The truth isn't what moves the world. Perception does. It's not about who's right. It's about who appears right. It's not about who's the most skilled. It's about who looks like they belong at the top. We've all seen it. The quiet genius in the corner who gets overlooked. The loud, confident talker who rises despite offering far less. It happens in the workplace, in politics, even in relationships. And it's not an accident. The world runs on narratives. And if you're not the one telling your story, someone else will tell it for you. That's how you end up misjudged, misunderstood, and underestimated, not because of your worth, but because of how you're seen. Let me ask you, when you walk into a room, what do people sense before you even speak? Do they feel your presence, or do you blend into the background? Do you project confidence, or do you leave it up to others to figure you out? Here's the brutal truth. People don't wait to discover who you really are. They decide in seconds based on what you show them. And if you don't learn to shape that image with intention, you'll always be at the mercy of assumption. That's why Machiavelli wasn't just a political thinker, he was a master of perception. He knew that power isn't only about strength, it's about looking the part. Because people follow certainty, not sincerity. They're drawn to those who seem in control, who speak like they know where they're going even if they're still figuring it out. This doesn't mean you should fake it. It means you should curate your presence. Learn to manage the signals you send. Speak when it counts. Move with confidence. Hold yourself like someone worth listening to, because you might be brilliant. You might be kind, loyal, and wise. But in a world built on first impressions, none of that matters if you don't know how to package it. So ask yourself, are you telling your story? Or are you just hoping someone sees the truth without you saying a word? Here's something most people never realize until it's too late. The more you reveal, the less power you have. We live in a culture that praises transparency. That says, speak your truth, say how you feel, be an open book. But let me ask you something, has that ever backfired on you? Have you ever shared something too soon, too openly, only to have it used against you later? Have you ever explained yourself to someone and walked away feeling smaller for it? See, Machiavelli understood something most people forget. Power isn't always in what you say. Sometimes it's in what you withhold, because silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's not about lying, it's about choosing what to say. And more importantly, when to say it, the person who speaks less holds the upper hand. Why? Because mystery creates curiosity. And curiosity, when used well, becomes influence. When people don't know what you're thinking, they start guessing. And when they guess, they give you their attention. They project, they wonder, they wait. And in that silence, you become interesting, even powerful. But if you always speak your mind, if you always explain your intentions, if you're completely predictable, you become easy to read and easy to manipulate. Think of the most powerful people you know. Are they the loudest in the room? Or are they the ones who speak rarely, but when they do, everyone listens? This doesn't mean you should shut down or be cold. It means you should protect your thoughts like you would protect your valuables. Share deliberately, not impulsively. Say what's necessary. No more, no less, because in a world where attention is currency, silence is a luxury. And mystery is magnetic. So next time you feel the urge to overshare, to over-explain, to fill, the silence pause, let the space speak for you. Let your restraint create tension, and watch how people lean in. Wondering what you're really thinking, let me ask you a question that might sting a little. How predictable are you? Because here's the harsh truth, predictable people are easy to manipulate. When others know exactly how you'll react, when they can read you like a script, you become controllable, not respected, not feared, just manageable. And that's not where power lives. Power lives in unpredictability, in keeping others just uncertain enough to make them cautious. Because the moment someone can predict your next move, they start planning around it. Or worse, using it. Think about chess. The queen doesn't dominate because she moves the same way every time. She dominates because she can strike from any angle at any moment. That's the mindset of real leadership. Machiavelli knew this long before boardrooms and political games. He understood that a true leader is someone who commands not just attention, but loyalty, is never easy to read. They don't live in fixed patterns. They shift, adapt, surprise. They break expectations, and that's what makes them powerful. Now, you might say, but I'm just being authentic. I don't want to play games. Fair, but ask yourself, are you being authentic, or just easy to predict? There's a difference between being real and being routine. You can still be yourself and stay one step ahead. You can still hold your values while refusing to let people use them as levers against you. Think about the last time someone pushed your buttons. Did you react exactly how they expected? Because if you did, they won. And next time, they'll do it again. This isn't about becoming manipulative. It's about becoming strategic. about protecting your power by refusing to be a puppet dot, so the next time someone tries to box you in, surprise them. The next time they expect silence, speak. The next time they expect fire, smile. Let them know you don't live in a cage of expectations. You move on your own terms. And when people can't predict you, they start respecting you. Let me ask you something simple but powerful. Why do some people command attention the second they walk into a room, while others go unnoticed no matter how hard they try? The answer lies in one word: availability. We've been taught that presence equals connection, that being constantly around is a sign of loyalty, love, or leadership. But here's the paradox. The more available you are, the less people value your presence. It's human nature. We crave what's scarce. We ignore what's always there. Think of someone you admire, someone whose words carry weight. They're not the person texting back instantly or showing up to every invitation. They appear when it matters. And when they do, everyone listens. That's not arrogance. That's strategy. Machiavelli understood this long before Instagram made us think visibility equals influence. He warned that a ruler who is too accessible loses respect, not because they are weak, but because familiarity breeds complacency. So here's the shift. Don't strive to always be present. Strive to be missed. To be the person whose absence is felt. To let your silence echo louder than someone else's constant noise. Have you ever gone above and beyond for someone only to be ignored when you needed them? It's not because you weren't valuable. It's because you were always there. And when something's always there, people stop seeing it. This doesn't mean disappearing completely. It means being intentional with your presence. It means knowing when to step back so that when you step forward, it matters. Let people feel the weight of your absence. Let your silence create curiosity. Because when you're not always around, your presence becomes a statement, not a background noise. So the question is, are you trying to prove your worth by always showing up? Or are you wise enough to know that scarcity creates value and distance, when used well, becomes power? Here's something most people don't want to hear. The person who controls your emotions controls you. Think about that. Every time you get triggered, every time you snap in anger, panic in fear, or spiral in doubt, someone else is pulling the strings. And the scariest part? Most of the time, they're not even trying that hard. A single insult, a delayed reply, a rejection, boom, your peace is gone. Your balance disappears, you become reactive. And when you react, you lose control. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He didn't preach emotional coldness to be heartless. He preached it to protect power. Because the one who can stay calm when the storm hits, that's the one who survives. That's the one people follow. That's the one no one dares to provoke lightly. So let me ask, how often have you let someone push your buttons and then felt ashamed, not because they were right, but because you gave them access to your emotional center? See, power isn't loud. It's not in shouting or slamming fists. Real power is quiet. It's still. It's the ability to say, you don't get to decide how I feel. I do. This isn't about shutting your emotions down. It's about owning them, feeling deeply but acting wisely. Not being ruled by every wave that crashes in your chest. That's what cold-blooded thinking really is. Not cold-hearted, not cruel, just clear. It means you move with purpose, not impulse. You pause before you react. You let logic sit in the driver's seat, even when your pride wants to take the wheel. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember, the moment you react emotionally, they win. But if you remain still, if you stay unreadable, unshaken, they lose all control over you. Because the one who cannot be provoked, the one who holds his center while the world falls apart, that is the most dangerous person in any room. We live in a culture obsessed with speed. Move fast, react fast, win fast. Success today feels like a race, one where everyone's sprinting, chasing, comparing. But here's the secret that most people never understand. The fastest doesn't win. The smartest does. And the smartest knows when to wait. Think of a hunter. They don't fire at the first movement in the bush. They watch, they breathe. They wait until the prey steps into the perfect position, then they strike. One clean, Shot. No wasted energy. Now ask yourself, how often have you rushed into something just because you were impatient? Jumped into a relationship, a job, a deal only to realize you moved too soon? Most people aren't failing because they lack talent. They fail because they can't sit still long enough to let their strategy mature. Machiavelli put it simply, fortune favors those who adapt. That means not just reacting to life, but reading it. Waiting until the winds shift in your favor, not because you're scared, but because you're smart. See, patience isn't passive. It's active restraint. It's choosing not to move when you're tempted, so you can move with power later. There's a reason the most dangerous people in any room are often the quietest. They're not rushing. They're watching, calculating. They know their time will come, and when it does, they'll be ready. So, here's the challenge. Next time you feel the urge to rush, to force, to act out of fear, pause. Ask yourself, is this the right moment or just the most convenient one? Because real power isn't loud. It doesn't panic. It doesn't chase. It waits. Then strikes. So stop sprinting to prove yourself. Start thinking like a strategist. Because in the end, it's not the one who moves first that wins. It's the one who moves with precision. Most people spend their lives following invisible rules, rules no one said out loud, but everyone obeys. Show up on time, stay in line, be agreeable. Don't rock the boat. And for that obedience, what do they get? Mediocrity. Exhaustion. The illusion of safety, but never real power. The truth is, the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as it was designed, to reward conformity just enough to keep you quiet, while punishing anyone bold enough to question it. But here's what most people never realize. You weren't meant to fit the mold. You were meant to break it. Because nothing truly remarkable ever came from doing what everyone else was doing. Look around. The people who leave a mark, the ones who bend the rules, reshape conversations, and make others pause, they're the ones who chose to be different. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't play it safe. And they sure as hell didn't follow the crowd just to be accepted. So, ask yourself, are you playing by rules that were handed to you? Or are you writing your own? Because many of us weren't weak. We were just playing the wrong game. We weren't overlooked because we lacked value. We simply weren't showing it in a language the system understands. The system notices what's rare. It pays attention to what it can't predict. And it fears what it can't control. So become that. Become the outlier. The one who moves differently, thinks differently. The one who speaks when it matters and stays silent when it's strategic. You don't need to be louder. You just need to be sharper, uncaged, undeniable, unforgettable. Because once you stop asking for a seat at the table and start building your own, everything changes. So here's the real question. Are you going to keep living by someone else's script? Or finally become the author of your own? So now we've come full circle, and if you've been listening closely, you already know this isn't just about theory. It's not about sounding clever or quoting Machiavelli. This is about you. How you move, how you think, how you survive. Let's take a moment to remember what we've uncovered. Kindness without strategy is weakness, but kindness with strategy? That's real strength. The world doesn't reward truth, it rewards perception. Silence is an emptiness. It's a weapon. The less available you are, the more valuable you become. Scarcity builds worth. Power doesn't rush. It waits. It calculates. Patience is a master move, and above all, if people can't predict you, they can't control you. Unpredictability earns respect. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're tools. And now they're yours. So the real question is this. Are you going to keep dreaming, or are you going to start designing? Because here's the truth, you've probably been playing the game with someone else's rulebook, living reactively, hoping kindness would carry you through, but that only works in fairy tales. In reality, you need more than a good heart. You need a sharp mind, you need to control your image, not to manipulate, but to protect. You need to master your emotions, not to suppress, but to lead. You need to choose when to speak, when to vanish, and when to strike. Because once you control perception, timing, distance, and emotion, you stop being a victim of the system. and become the one quietly pulling its strings. So, I'll ask you again, one last time. Are you going to keep hoping the world will treat you fairly? Or are you ready to move like a strategist and shape the world around you? If this message hit you, don't just let it fade. Comment below which principle you'll start applying today. And if you're ready to play smarter, not harder, subscribe and let's move with power.